Welcome to another episode of the Ultimate MBA podcast. Episode 1 में आपने सुना आशुतोष भूषण को who talked about his life as an FMCG guy. In 5 years, he became head of a country, Nepal. This episode, I'm going to talk to Shobhit Suman, who is the chief product officer of HungerBox. And before that, a bit about myself. My name is Sachin Mandot, and I work in tech, in IT. This podcast is an initiative to talk to people who, young, wonderful professionals who have achieved a lot through their hard work, grit, and patience in their respective fields. Today we have Shobhit Suman, who is the Chief Product Officer of HungerBox. And अगर आपने HungerBox के बारे में नहीं सुना है, आप एक corporate employee हो, who orders food at their cafeteria, so Shobhit has touched your lives in a lot of different ways. So welcome Shobhit to the podcast. How are you?
Hi. Thanks, Sachin. I'm good. How are you? I,
I'm good too, sir. I'm good too.
I must say, great initiative, and I kind of had a chance to look at your first podcast. Really amazing and privileged to be here talking to you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
looking forward.
Thank you. Thank you a lot. And Shobhit is my batchmate from IMT Ghaziabad. So IMT का एक बात होता है कि batch size बहुत बड़ा है. But the good part of batch size is for my podcast, I don't have to go anywhere else. There are 600 wonderful people in IMT Ghaziabad whom I can talk just like that. And I'm sorted for a year.
हाँ, batch size बहुत बड़ा है, right? And I think this was one concern which all of us had before joining IMT Ghaziabad in our years, right?
Yeah.
बैच साइज बहुत बड़ा है, पता नहीं कितनी कंपनीज आती है, व्हाट इज द रेशियो, थिंग लाइक दैट, बट
Yeah,
या
we used to do those little calculation that, okay, there are 10, 15 good companies. We are 600. So we were very myopic about the whole, only the campus
yeah
placement.
yeah
And you were the one who broke that myopia.
so
So for the people who are the starters, Shobit got a job with a PSU. I think Department of Human Resource. उसके अंडर में एक PSU था जिसमें you got a job or government department.
right, there's a long story to it, but yeah, I think the company, it was under MHRD, and it was
Yeah,
named as EDCIL. I believe three of us from the
EDCL.
from our batch got placed into that, and
Four.
four. Oh yeah, okay. Long back. It was
Long
interesting.
back.
I think it was Government of India's initiative wherein we were, as in the Indian government was kind of establishing digital education in subcontinents. It was
Yeah.
interesting, and that's how I kind of chose that. But yeah, there's a long story to it. I'm sure as we talk, we'll speak about it.
So first question is on that. मतलब a cushy government job that would have been a typical 9 to 5 क्योंकि that is 9 to 5, right? Why did you leave and why did you join a startup specifically? Not even so, I think you had your internship in Deloitte. You could join consulting. You could have joined established MNC. So why did you end up joining a startup at that point of time?
So Sajin, not only that, I also had an option to join Tata Motors, and and it was
Okay.
a marketing sort of role, and two of us, also joined there. But to understand why I did not join, EDCIL, it is important to understand why did I, even got that offer or took that offer, right? So if you, I had to go back in 2013-14 during my engineering days,
Yeah,
and
yeah. Let's go back
so
to there.
that will help me connecting the dots so that everybody gets the point. So I started
Yeah.
my career from a startup, right? And this
Okay.
company is called Black and Green, still exists, and a wonderful company to work for.
And what does it do? What does Black and Green do?
So Black and Green, they were into mobile VAS service, right? So value added services. We used
Okay.
to hear those
Value
caller
added services.
tunes and all of those, right? So back in early 2000, वो caller tune आता था and things like that, right? So what
Yeah.
we used to do in 2014-13 when we joined Black and Green, we were converting these value added services to mobile applications, right? So
Okay.
you had apps in your phone wherein you can just click on a click, you can morph your voice, you can change your caller tunes, and then we were selling these products to telecom companies like Airtel, Vodafone, etc., etc. and this was
Okay.
mostly into African market, right? So African market was still evolving, and things like this was really getting good traction there. So वहाँ पे I
Okay.
joined as a fresher, right? And I learned a lot about, and being at a startup, सब कुछ दे दिया जाता है, like ये भी कर लो, वो भी कर लो, uh, क्या आता है, क्या सीखना चाहते हो, all of these things are fine, सब कर लेना, लेकिन ये तो है, ये कंपनी की नीड है, you have to do this, right? So got a very good chance there to learn, and I saw the entire life cycle of product there, building a product, right from
Okay.
conceptualization to business to development, everything. And I was a developer, but got a good chance to look at the entire spectrum of it. After which I again joined
Okay.
a company which was called BigDecisions.com, which got acquired by News Corp. Right, it was a very small company, power packed by a lot of fantastic people. I believe we were around 20-22 people working out of a News Corp office in Mumbai. वहाँ पे भी it
Okay.
was a fantastic culture, and again it was a B2C product which kind of really fascinated me a lot. ठीक है, तो that was the
Okay.
point जहाँ पे मुझे product management was something जो मुझे
So you were
दिखना.
actually interested in making an impact. मतलब you were getting into the brass tacks and not like किसी client के लिए काम करना है और बस अपना project कर दिया. You were actually on the product side where you understanding कि क्या चल क्या रहा है, मतलब what does that market want, what does the user want.
Right. See, as a 23-24 year old guy, right, very early in the career, इतना आइडिया नहीं
हम्म.
होता है, राइट, कि कितना इम्पैक्ट,
हम्म.
क्या इम्पैक्ट, राइट. बट एक चीज तो श्योर है कि फिर वर्किंग इन अ स्टार्टअप जहाँ 20 लोग हैं, जहाँ सिटिंग ऑल ऑन द सेम फ्लोर, you are interacting with your CEO, then definitely that vision is getting passed to you, right? In comparison to a company wherein there are 50,000 people, जिसका CEO का तुमने शक्ल भी नहीं देखा होगा शायद, right? तो वो
That's true. That's true.
तो वो विजन ट्रांसलेशन जो है, दैट एक्सपोजर दैट यू गेट इन दिस स्मॉल सेटअप, राइट, इज इज ऑफ इज ऑफ ग्रेट वैल्यू, आई वुड से. तो वो उसने मुझ पे इम्पैक्ट क्रिएट किया, सो दैट आई कुड गो एंड क्वेश्चन माई सेल्फ कि हाउ एंड वेयर एम आई क्रिएटिंग इम्पैक्ट, right? And that's where I was able to see, and I always told people that I know how to develop product, but I want to learn what to develop, right?
What to develop and okay, that
What to
what
develop.
and how you
Yes.
knew how, but what and why is what you're doing now
राइट,
currently.
राइट. तो ये क्वेश्चन मेरे दिमाग में 2015 में क्लियर था, दैट आई नीड टू लर्न दिस व्हाट एंड व्हाई पार्ट ऑफ इट, राइट. एंड देन आई ट्राइड माय हैंड्स ऑन few startups that I initiated. I kind of built. It was in some food tech domain also, some content side, right. वो किया था, again
Okay.
as a very young mind, wanted to do a lot of things, so that I tried. Uh, but yeah, and then IMT Ghaziabad, right. But one thing which I think I feel blessed that I knew what I wanted to do, right. I knew, and I discovered this in 2015, even before joining MBA. Even before joining my MBA, I knew कि मेरे को क्या करना है, and that time product management was not such a common name in professional world. मतलब इतना common नहीं था,
Yeah.
right. It was when I had to do product
So
management, ज़्यादा लोगों को पता भी नहीं था कि क्या product management होता है, right. It was very very nascent in Indian setup, right, or
Indian context. तो उस
context.
टाइम पे I remember everyone was either FMCG करना है या for so we I think we both took marketing strategy those classes.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone either wanted to get into consulting or either they want to get into FMCG.
I
So product management तो कहीं था ही नहीं उस टाइम पे hot careers में.
वेरी वेल पॉइंटेड सचिन, एंड आई टेल यू, मुझे एक चीज बिल्कुल समझ नहीं आती थी. एवरीबडी इन आवर बैच, मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल, आई वुड से नॉट जनरलाइज दिस, लोग कहते थे कि मुझे आईटी में नहीं जाना है, राइट. पीपल
हाँ.
दे केम फ्रॉम दी सर्विस कंपनी से टीसीएस, एक्सेंचर, एक्सेट्रा एक्सेट्रा, राइट. तो उनका उनका कहना था मुझे आईटी में नहीं जाना है. मेरे समझ में ये नहीं आता था कि लोगों को आईटी में क्यों नहीं जाना है, राइट. इंडियन इकोनॉमी में आईटी इतना बड़ा रोल प्ले कर रहा है, राइट. स्टार्टअप हो गया या सर्विसेज, सर्विसेज हैज अ मेजर चंक दो, बट स्टिल आई मीन बहुत सारे प्रोडक्ट अब इंडिया से बन के आ रहे हैं, राइट. माय कंपनी हंगर बॉक्स, वी आर अ इंडियन स्टार्टअप, राइट, एंड वी आर मेकिंग ग्लोबल इम्पैक्ट. तो लोगों को आईटी में जाना क्यों नहीं है? व्हाई डोंट यू मेक वांट टू मेक इम्पैक्ट थ्रू सॉफ्टवेयर? तो सबको एफएमसीजी में जाना था, सबको कंसल्टिंग करनी थी, राइट? एवरीबॉडी वांटेड सम मार्केटिंग जॉब, राइट? एंड व्हेन आई गॉट दैट ऑफर फ्रॉम टाटा मोटर्स, लोगों ने ये क्वेश्चन किया मुझसे कि तुम कर क्या रहे हो? हाउ कैन यू लीव अ जॉब एट टाटा मोटर्स, वो भी मार्केटिंग मैनेजमेंट ट्रेनिंग देन, राइट? एंड देन मार्केटिंग डोमेन में, हाउ कैन यू लीव दिस जॉब
And join a startup.
and join a startup? तो वो बाद में है. Then nobody knew that I am joining a startup or I would join a startup. Even I did not know. I wanted to join a startup, but I did not have any offer, right, back then. Now I'll tell you. You asked the Edsel part, right? That why did I leave that
Ah,
company? So we'll have to go back in our placement week, right? Day zero of placement, we got list of say 10, 12 companies. I checked all the profiles. There was no product management profile.
okay.
I
There was none.
There was none.
There was, I think, one came up for Yatra, but it was also like towards the end of
Yeah,
the placement.
I'll come to that. I remember all of these very very well, क्योंकि मुझे exactly पता है कि product management के profiles कब और कहाँ आए थे, because that's what I was looking for. I was very clear I had to do product management from a day zero of my MBA. Second, I always
Okay.
knew that I had to go in a startup setup जहाँ पे मैं impact create कर सकूँ. It only happened because the kind of work I did my pre MBA, मुझे पता था कि impact कैसे और कहाँ पे कर सकता हूँ मैं. Right? तो ये दो चीजें
Okay.
बहुत क्लियर थी मेरे दिमाग में. So and Deloitte happened in between during my summer interns and all of those. So again, I was not very interested, not inclined towards it. Uh, I don't want to, call out all the reasons, but yeah.
Yeah. That would have been an easy PPO for you.
तो नहीं करना था. I was very clear कि नहीं करना है.
Ah,
And all my colleagues then, right, Kush and others, we were together in Deloitte, and सबको पता था कि I'm just being there because I had to be. तो
मतलब you had 2 months of paid vacation basically.
काम किया था मैंने, ऐसा नहीं है. I worked what I had, but I knew that while people were eager to get PPO from Deloitte, one of the day negative company, I remember summers में मुझे
Yeah.
placement week से पहले ही आया था, पहली company, पहला shot, and it was done. तो
We
मतलब
both were one by one. I think we both entered that room one after the other. I did not get selected. You
अच्छा,
got selected. I was not very happy about me not being selected out there क्योंकि
मुझे
पता था कि यहाँ से PPO मिल जाता है.
so that I don't remember though. ठीक है, तो
हाँ.
ओके. तो कमिंग बैक टू द प्लेसमेंट वीक, राइट? तो प्लेसमेंट वीक
हाँ.
में क्या हुआ? डे जीरो, डे वन, डे टू, कंटिन्यूसली नो प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट प्रोफाइल. और इवन
Yeah.
वीक स्टार्ट होने से पहले देयर वाज वन कंपनी, media.net, जिसका प्रोफाइल आया था मेरे विद अ गुड सीटीसी, राइट? एंड आई वाज लाइक कि
Yeah.
अगर ये ओपनिंग आई है तो कैंपस में तो आएगा. एंड आई जस्ट वांटेड दैट वन चांस
Uh,
टू सिट फॉर एन इंटरव्यू, right? So I was like, okay, I'll wait. And I waited for day
uh,
zero, day one, two, three, and there was no companies. Day three पे I started
yeah.
panicking. Day three पे honestly I started panicking. Day three, day four पे I started panicking क्योंकि लोगों के placements हो रहे हैं. It's it's okay. मैंने Deloitte छोड़ा, मैंने Tata छोड़ा, right? And I did not know what to do now. मतलब ऐसा लगा नहीं था कि I'll have to wait या एक भी profiles नहीं आएंगी. There was one company, FNP, that came actually, right? But they
Yeah.
did not take anyone. They did not take anyone. Shaadi.com भी
Yeah.
आई थी. I did not get the shortlist. I still don't know the reason, but ठीक है. I did not get the shortlist. ठीक है, तो वो हुआ, and then I did not get any product manager file, and then I thought कि जॉब तो लेना पड़ेगा, right?
So,
जॉब तो
so a
लेना.
note to Mr. Anupam of founder Shadi.com that you lost a great product guy because your shortlist criteria were not good.
No comments on that. But anyways, I'll ask that question to my current CEO.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, yeah. So coming back to the question, right? So हाँ, तो वो day three, day four पे I started a bit panicking कि job तो लेना है, right? And then I stepped back कि what to do now, and then फिर मेरे दिमाग में सिर्फ वही था कि which role can I go wherein I can make this impact. And then I got this opening. I saw that in our inbox from EDCIL, and then thought that they're doing something different, something unique. And to be
Yeah.
very very frank, I was not super happy about what I was signing for, right? I went for the interview, and it was easy, not a very big thing. So wo ho gaya, and then I got this offer. But as I mentioned, I was not super happy with what I got. Okay, and then I went back to my drawing board. I analyzed myself कि अभी क्या करना है. this is not what you came for, right? You did not come for this
Yeah.
role in the in this college. What do you want to do? अभी तो क्या है सचिन कि product management you can get even without MBAs, right? But back in those days, this was not this easy, right? Product management and
Openings were very less. It was a very niche area. I remember that product was just coming up. People were, even a lot of people were, uh, I guess product owner to product manager transition हो रहा था लोगों का, but इतना mainstream नहीं था उस time पे.
मेन स्ट्रीम भी नहीं था, और दूसरी बात ये थी कि बिना एमबीए के लोगों को बहुत मुश्किल से या ना के बराबर पीपल वर गेटिंग इनटू प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट, ये भी
Yeah.
चीज थी. एंड देन यू वुड नीड टॉप पेडिग्रीज काइंड ऑफ टू गेट इनटू प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट. ये अभी भी है, आई वुड से समवेयर, बट ब्रेकिंग दैट स्टीरियोटाइप. एनीवेज, विल कम बैक टू इट. तो एंड देन आई वेंट बैक टू माय ड्राइंग बोर्ड, काइंड ऑफ एनालाइजिंग कि क्या करना है. एंड even today, I go back and read those mails which I used to send, right? Back then, 2018 था, right? 2018 में,
18 में, हाँ.
right? Every day
हाँ.
I used to send like 20-30 cold emails to HRs of different companies, right? With my profile, with my interest, seeking this interview. And I got calls. I got calls, right? I and back then when everybody was placed, and there was all party happening around
Everyone were chilling, going to
campus.
Manali, Kasol.
uh, my room, I was busy studying these SQL and whatnot of product management. And I remember every week at least 2 to 3 days I used to go to Gurgaon, because that's the startup hub, right? तो calls आते थे मुझे out of these
Yeah, for
20-30.
NCR.
Yeah, तो 20-30 जो मेल्स मैं भेजता था रोज के, आई यूज टू गेट लाइक 2-3 कॉल्स एवरी वीक टू ट्रैवल टू गुड़गांव एंड कम फॉर दिस इंटरव्यू. तभी पैंडेमिक नहीं था ना, तो यू हैड टू विजिट ऑफिस फॉर द इंटरव्यू,
You have to go in person.
right? So I went to Gurgaon for so many interviews every day, traveling 55 kilometers, doing the interview, coming back, doing the interview, coming back, right? मैंने कुछ walk in interviews भी दिए थे उस time पे. तो so the point
Oh,
I'm trying to make, maybe for the young MBA grads or people here, that first you need to believe what you want to do, right? And I'm reading this book these days, Think and Grow Rich, and there also we talk about, the author talks about how belief can change life for you. So you need to dream what you really want for, and if you
you
have
first
that.
you need to believe in yourself. Like a lot of people just they think that I can do this,
Yes.
but they don't even have self belief. Like it's not that self belief कि मैं वो pyramid scheme में जाके 4 करोड़ बना लूंगा एक साल में, वो वाला नहीं. But I think that I can do this. Or they don't. A lot of people have imposter syndrome कि यार ये मैं I don't think I'm capable of doing this.
तो
So I guess
ये जो 400 करोड़, यू सेड दिस राइट, इतना बना लूंगा. एंड आई
हाँ.
एम कोटिंग दिस फ्रॉम द बुक. उसमें लिखा है कि जस्ट गो एंड राइट योर ड्रीम्स. जो भी अचीव करना चाहते हो लिख दो, रोज लिखो, रोज उसको जस्ट रीड अलाउड, जस्ट रीड अलाउड एंड यू विल मेक इट हैपन. तो वो क्या, योर सबकॉन्शियस माइंड स्टार्ट्स मेकिंग यू फील, मेकिंग यू बिलीव दैट दिस विल हैपन, दिस विल हैपन, right? तो somewhere I was able to connect this book to my days in 2018, wherein I had this belief कि मेरे को करना है ना, I think I can do this. तो वो रोज का all of this struggle, going for walking interviews, going for those interviews, I think again I just messaged one of the HR, HungerBox. I got through the interview, got converted, और भी एक दो convert हो गए थे उस time पे, right? So
Okay.
हाँ, so product management में I got like couple of calls, a couple of converts actually, right? Calls तो काफी आ गए थे, converts 2-3 हुए थे, and I was glad I joined this company. And when I joined this company, I'm super glad the time I joined, right? And I was the first product manager to be joining this company. इस company में मेरे से पहले
So
कोई product
how
manager नहीं
many
था.
people were then? How many people were there in HungerBox, and how many people are there now?
So, HungerBox has gone its own phases. COVID के time पे, pre-COVID, post-COVID.
Hmm.
But back then, if I remember correctly, 10 to 12 people in tech, and I was the only one in product,
Okay.
right? Of course, I
Okay.
had my manager, right? He was one of the founding members, is there, right? So that's all. So I was the only person in product, 10 to 12, tech people. So yeah, fortunate enough to be joining this kind of a company at that point of time. So timing matters. We always say this, right? And yeah, the company was 1.5 year old, and I think you asked me कि ये छोड़ के यहाँ क्यों आए. I think
हाँ.
talking about my journey would make people feel कि मैंने ये क्यों किया, because this was something which I
Yeah,
always
so
wanted. तो मेरे लिए
believe
second
in
thought था नहीं.
yourself, basically. You believed in yourself that you wanted to do this. A lot of people don't even have the clarity, even after 5 years or 10 years of MBA, that are they doing it correctly or not.
Probably no comments on that, but
I guess
yeah.
find that clarity.
Sorry.
I think whoever is listening, find that clarity, at least the kind of clarity that Shobhit had. First thing.
I mean, I tell this, often, even to my wife, my parents, right? That I had the clarity. I had the clarity why I'm in for MBA, and I wrote one article also in MBA Universe during my MBA days,
Okay.
right? And the question was why MBA. The article was on why MBA. It is still there. Somebody can find it, right? Why MBA? And if
I'll
you,
post the link in the comment somewhere.
I'll find that and share it with you,
Yeah.
right? So I was really puzzled to see people in my batch who were not having the clarity. And India के अंदर this is so common that you get for go for MBA as a fresher, as a 2 years experience, 1 year experience. बाहर तो होता भी नहीं है, right? Unless you get that clarity कि तुम्हें क्यों करना है, क्या करना है, people don't really go for MBAs. तो again, this
Yeah,
is a very personal
generally it is
opinion.
5 years experience. I'm sitting in Canada. People go for MBA after generally 5 6 years of experience when they know, because एक चीज ये भी कि उस टाइम पे बैक इन 2016 आई रिमेम्बर दैट टीसीएस इन्फोसिस के पैकेजेस और अदर पैकेजेस वेयर 3 3.5 lakh, and after MBA, good MBA, you could get 12 lakhs. So money is the motivation.
Yeah,
मेरे लिए था कि I did not like what I was doing back then, so I thought I'll take my MBA and ठीक है चलो you'll get it 4x. But I think that equation has changed in India now.
very very nice question, Sachin. And you know what? ROI is one term which everybody used to use back then, right? अभी भी करते होंगे
Yeah.
लोग, all the new MBA grads, right? कि ROI क्या है? मेरे समझ में नहीं आता, how do people calculate this ROI, right? How can you calculate? This is a qualitative thing. मतलब क्या वो, मतलब कितना पैसा दिया MBA कॉलेज को, कितने का प्लेसमेंट लिया, इससे ROI थोड़ी निकलता है, right? That's not the ROI.
And that ROI, so for people listening, ROI is return on investment. आपने अपने MBA में कितना पैसा लगाया है एंड आपको कितना पैकेज मिल रहा है. बट जनरली आप जो गलती करते हो वो करते हो कि ROI सिर्फ फर्स्ट ईयर का कैलकुलेट करते हो कि आपका जो प्लेसमेंट हुआ है वो आपका ROI है. आप ये नहीं देखते कि आप 5 साल बाद क्या कर सकते हो उस पैसे, उस डिग्री के साथ.
डिग्री सिर्फ पैसा या सिर्फ प्लेसमेंट नहीं दे रहा है सचिन, राइट? आई मीन, और 5 साल क्यों, 50 साल के बाद क्या कर सकते हो? आई मीन,
एटलीस्ट तब तक आपको अगला अगला ईएमआई लेना है ना. जैसे पहला लोन तो एमबीए का हो गया, फिर आप अगला लोन घर का लोगे, तो तब तक एटलीस्ट ये तो होगा कि वो लोन क्लियर हो जाए
तो
पीछे का.
मैथमेटिकल इक्वेशन तो आई डोंट थिंक वी कैन पुट
हाँ.
अ मैथमेटिकल इक्वेशन टू द एंटायर एमबीए थिंग, और फॉर दैट मैटर एनी
या
वोकेशनल और एजुकेशन थिंग.
एनीथिंग.
बट ठीक है, हाँ. तो ये आरओआई का बहुत चलता था उस टाइम पे.
सुबित, आपने बोला प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट के बारे में. सो व्हाट इफ यू हैव टू एक्सप्लेन टू अ लेमैन इन 30 seconds और अ मिनट, व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट? क्या होता है, क्या है प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट?
Okay. So, I don't know if I can get a better analogy for this, but if you watch a movie, actors, they act. So they act, and there are very good actors. There are, different types of actors. There are directors who tell actors what to, kind of how to, what is the, emotion, what kind of emotion you need to bring out, what is the theme that the director wants to show during this phase of the movie, right? So somewhere, I don't know if I can use this analogy, but yeah, I mean, that's how our role is, right? And then director, ties that knot of producer to actor, and everybody else in the crew member, right? So probably that analogy, if that works. But yeah, talking about product management, we are the one who kind of sit at the center of the company, bridging the gap between business and technology. That's a very general understanding, but yeah, that's there.
Okay. And you work for a company called HungerBox.
Yeah.
So what does HungerBox do? So we spoke about you are touching lives of almost every other corporate employee who's ordering food in cafeteria. So kaise? How is HungerBox doing that?
So HungerBox, we are a institutional food tech company, right? And when I say institutional
Okay.
food tech company, we digitize cafeterias. And when I say that, essentially we you know touch every point in the value chain of food that is served in any captive space. And that captive space is not only of corporates, right? So corporate cafeteria is obviously the place wherein we have made our impact the highest. But take hospitals, take schools, take universities, take food courts. So wherever there's a captive setup, right, captive vendor and a captive audience setup, and the food is getting served or consumed by the end user, we kind of uh, digitally touch the value chain of that space, food value chain of that space, right? So that's what we are essentially doing, right? And we are creating this ecosystem of this entire industry, say, right? So say there are food partners with whom we have partnered with, right? Then we have all of these corporates, hospitals, schools, etc., etc., right? The demand side of it, correct? And then there are facility managers who manages these facilities, right? Obviously the end user who are actually eating and consuming the food, right? So these are three prominent stakeholders that we have in the ecosystem, right? And we are
Okay.
integrating this ecosystem together. So that's
So
what we
our
are doing.
question
Yeah.
is, why it needed to be digitized? What was the hook or problem that you solved through digitizing?
Very, very well, right? So, Sachin, if you understand, when I spoke about these three different stakeholders, right, they all of them have different problems, and I'll come to that. But before that, I just want to underline one thing here. Uh, we are probably the category creator in this space, right? And whenever you are the
Yeah.
category creator, you don't have the specific problems which is already identified in the market. You have identified that problem statement, and then you need to go and tell the stakeholder that, hey, you have these problems and I have solution for these problems. Then your first job is to convince that these people, they're having this problem, which they will realize that yes, I do have the problem, right? And then you have solution for these problems, right? So this is what we have done. And when I spoke about these three stakeholders in the ecosystem, all of them have their own problems. Users, right, the end users, the consumer, they don't want to stand in the queue, probably, right? So I mean, why do you need to, if for instance, if you want a food delivery, you just order from your home and you get the food at your home, right? Working in a corporate, while you're focusing doing your job, why do you need to walk up to the cafeteria to look for what is getting served? Is there a
To
burger?
stand in a long line. I
Yeah.
remember when I used to work in India, there used to be long line of people ordering. Okay,
Yeah.
sabka lunch time used to be at 1:30,
Right.
and all everyone was lining up.
राइट, तो पहले कैश काउंटर पे लाइन अप करो, फिर पिकअप काउंटर पे लाइन अप करो, राइट?
डिलीवरी के लिए लाइन अप करो.
फिर डिलीवरी के लिए लाइन अप करो, एंड देन गो एंड फाइंड योर स्पेस वेयर टू सिट एंड ईट, राइट? सो वी हैव डेवलप्ड प्रोडक्ट्स एंड वी आर इन दिस जर्नी, राइट? आई एम नॉट सेइंग वी हैव 100% सॉल्व दिस. We are in this journey, and I'm sure we'll be able to you know reach to a very good level there, right? So we are touching using technology to solve all of these problems. So you mentioned very correctly, these are the problems that users have, right? And then you can obviously make your payment also digitally using our application. So what should take a chak chak wo nahi hai, right? You just make your payment, right?
Yeah, you have to give the exact change. ये 27 रुपीज का डोसा है तो 3 रुपए की वो चॉकलेट
True,
दे देगा
true,
आपको, which you feel like कितने क्या
true.
करूंगा इतनी चॉकलेट्स का.
Our growth
So
phase.
what's a product market fit? One very interesting term which I keep hearing. So for people who don't know, can you explain product market fit
So
like in a simple language?
so essentially, if you're working on a product, if you're building something, right, and if you have got the initial traction that that this product will be working, you have got the adoption, the kind of response you wanted, right, in a controlled setup, obviously, and it's the time for you now to put more fuel for the growth part of it. Essentially says that your product has reached the market fit, right? So there is a value that the market is gauging out of your product. So if you get that
Basically
response,
चल गया, मतलब यूजर्स को अच्छा लग रहा है आपका प्रोडक्ट.
चल गया.
It has a market.
करेक्ट, करेक्ट. So that would be very subjective. हर तरह के प्रोडक्ट के लिए पीएमएफ कहना अलग अलग स्टेज पे अलग अलग हो सकता है. It will be very subjective कि you cannot quantify using a number saying कि अगर मैंने 1 करोड़ का रेवेन्यू कर लिया तो पीएमएफ हो गया, if 10 करोड़ का कर लिया तो पीएमएफ हो गया. That would not be true in my opinion. You will get that sense in the market you're operating it, in the type of product you are developing, or you are in that domain, whatever. So yeah.
Okay. A question, because you said that corporate employees use HungerBox to order their food. सबसे ज्यादा क्या ऑर्डर करते हैं कॉर्पोरेट एम्प्लॉयज? उन्हें क्या पसंद है सबसे ज्यादा?
It depend करता है. So सबसे ज़्यादा, see, I'll tell you. So and before answering this question, Sachin, you asked ना कि कहाँ पे है. So there's a very important aspect on what value we are giving, right? So there's subsidy meal, right? So if a company wants to give free meal for their employees, how did they kind of manage control कि हर employee एक ले रहा है, 2 ले रहा है, 3 ले रहा है, whatever policies they have, right? So these kind of
Companies that give
policies,
free food or food
yeah,
is included in their
yes, yes.
salaries, so that, yeah.
Yes, so our application can take care of any kind of food policy that the company would be having, right? Subsidize करना है, मुझे breakfast free देना है for people who are coming before 10 a.m. in the morning, right? So we can do that, right? So things like that. I mean, there are many use cases I can talk about, but things like that. What is getting sold? I cannot name one item or two items. ऐसा नहीं है. What I can tell you, people are moving towards healthy trend in at least in the corporate world. That's something which
Okay.
I can tell you. But one item, two item, I cannot name. It depends highly on the site, on the food policies they have. Say for example,
बैंगलोर में क्या खाते हैं सबसे ज्यादा? What do people eat the most in Bangalore?
again, probably I'll not be able to specify one or two item here also. Bangalore ho या Delhi ho, right? But
अच्छा, what would be your guess? चलो, let it be, what would be your guess in Bangalore? Let's do Bangalore versus Delhi. Bangalore और दिल्ली में क्या खाएंगे लोग? Like your observation.
दोनों जगह मील खाएंगे. बैंगलोर में साउथ इंडियन मील और दिल्ली में नॉर्थ इंडियन मील. टू बी वेरी
छोले
फ्रैंक,
भटूरे हाँ.
नहीं, सो यू नीड टू अंडरस्टैंड सचिन, इन अ B2C सेटअप थिंग्स आर वेरी डिफरेंट, राइट? वहां पे क्या है, छोले
Yeah.
भटूरे भी मिल रहा है और पाव भाजी भी मिल रहा है, एंड यू हैव इडली डोसा आल्सो दैट इज गेटिंग सर्व्ड इन अ दिल्ली कैफेटेरिया. This is a very controlled space, right? So what is getting served, uh, kahan pe, there's a company policy around things, right? So the decision of users get influenced by all of these
Okay.
parameters, right? So ऑब्जेक्टिवली ये डिटरमिन करना कि जो चीज जोमेटो पे से बिक रहा होगा क्या वही हंगर बॉक्स पे बिक रहा होगा, माइट नॉट बी ट्रू.
And also depends कौन अच्छा बनाता है. Like what gets cooked well in your setup.
Yeah,
Because yeah, it's not something that you have a free choice. Like you have a set of vendors to order from.
yeah. So by the way, we don't make even a single food. We are not into food making,
Yeah.
food baking business.
Yeah. I mean, and you are the aggregator sort of.
Yes, marketplace.
Yeah. In that space.
Right.
Yeah. You're the marketplace for that.
Yeah.
So a question that I had, when you're operating in a controlled setup, so are you more product-driven company or a sales-driven company that way? I keep hearing this question from a lot of people that are you product-driven or sales-driven? What would you say on that?
So typically, see, I mean, product management as a function again, varies a lot from company to company, right? Types of company. And while I take, interviews for people joining in my team, I always give them this clarity very well, right? That this is a B2B2C company, correct? Don't come with a mindset of B2C. This is not a B2C company. This is a B2B2C company. The roadmap that we work on is not something which is only driven with what we want, right? There are things that you need to kind of take from everywhere. So when you say sales driven company, we are not a product driven company, we're not a sales driven company, right? We have our own business goals, और वो गोल अगर सेल्स के साइड से अचीव हो रहा है, प्रोडक्ट के साइड से अचीव हो रहा है, दैट्स वेयर इट विल गो इन द प्रोडक्ट रोड मैप फॉर अस, राइट? तो कुछ भी
And what's a
एक,
product roadmap?
okay, so product roadmap is essentially the list of items that you want to work in near future, near to midterm future, right? In a priority order, right? So that's the product
Okay.
roadmap. So I mean, essentially, if you're designing your product roadmap, what things goes up completely depends on the ROI, what is important for the business, right? So हो सकता है कि कंपनी जिस फेज में अभी हो, we might have to take very tough sales driven decisions. But 6 months back or 6 months from now, it might be very different, right? So startup setup mein, I would say, this is my personal experience and opinion here, right? Things vary a lot. You just cannot come and say कि आज से मैं अभी से मैं ऐसी कंपनी हूँ, मैं ऐसे ही ऑपरेट करूँगा. You need to be very agile, very flexible in whatever you are doing. There have been instances जहाँ पे within 2 days we have pivoted our whole plan. So yeah,
Yeah, that's actually great because you have to be agile in that space,
yeah,
You're working and smaller company would help you moving quickly onto things.
absolutely.
So a question now to you. I've seen a lot of discussion happening that Bangalore is becoming the Silicon Valley of India. If there was an offer in US, you have to join as a head of product or senior product manager, what would it take? Like, what kind of salary would it take for you to move from Bangalore to US?
Okay. So Sachin, I'll not move to US, right? And salary would not be a variable that could impact my decision anyways, right? Because and again, I don't want to be rhetoric in answering this question because I've been talking about impact, throughout our discussion, right? But
Yeah.
again, it's the value that you can create, right? And I see India as a market in today's era जहाँ पे मैं impact बना सकता हूँ, right? And I know this market better than any other market. What I do, right now, what I'm doing, and what I aspire to do in the Indian setup, in the Indian market, I think I can make a bigger difference than I can make in US for that matter. For now, so at least in near 3 to 5 years, I don't see me moving to US, right? So salary kuch bhi de do, I mean, it doesn't really matter, right?
And you're
Because
extremely bullish on India for that matter.
yes, I am, because I think okay, at this point in my life, this is not a parameter. This is not a parameter. I mean, uh, इंडिया में भी मुझे बोलो तो आई विल रादर सी की व्हाट काइंड ऑफ वैल्यू आई एम डिलीवरिंग, बी व्हाट काइंड ऑफ रिटर्न आई कैन एक्सपेक्ट, राइट? सो what x, what 3x, 5x, 10x growth I can see, say 100x growth I can see is what I will see, not what salary और महीने के अंत में मुझे कितना आएगा. That will not matter at all.
Uh, but then I've seen a lot of discussion happening about Bangalore, and I'm sitting in Canada right now. So we see that more and more people want to stick to India, stay in India now. What do you think of Bangalore as the whole ecosystem? Because you've been Bangalore for like a long time now.
Again, I mean, it depends now. Sachin, I'm not very sure on this answer, but Bangalore has a fantastic startup ecosystem, and so Gurgaon has, right? So I think Delhi में भी बहुत अच्छा ecosystem है. Mumbai has a
Or
very good
rephrasing
ecosystem for fintech.
India,
Sorry.
or rephrasing say India. So people don't want to move. Professionals are not moving out of India a lot now. जो पहले जाते थे.
Okay. So people are not moving out of India probably if the motivation was money. People are getting money in India, I think. Right, so people are getting
Yeah.
so even I'm sure if we go back to our days, right, our BTech days or say MBA days also, the kind of
Hmm.
salaries we were drawing and the kind of salary people are getting now is very different, right? So
Yeah, I
in
see a
my
lot.
my BTech, the average salary then and now has gone by 3x, 3 to 4x
And
actually.
that was a good computer science course
Yeah,
that you took. So even
yes,
there, 3x has happened.
yes, absolutely, more than 3x actually, 4x, 5x. Right, so that's the kind of salary people are getting in India, right? And that's the reason I tell, why should anybody move out of India for money? Money should not be the motivation. And if money is not the motivation, what else is the motivation? I've been hearing people, I mean, my friends of course, who have been moving out, and you are one of them, right? So you want
Yeah.
to experience the lifestyle. That's a valid reason, I would say. Lifestyle experience करना है, ठीक है, चले
That,
जाओ. If you think you're not getting the lifestyle in India, the one which you want, तो वहां मिल जाएगा, तो that's fair enough. But opportunity wise, I don't see India is not giving the opportunity. मुझे लगता है इंडिया में opportunity है और मिल रहा है. I don't have quantification for this, but है.
no. So even Canada maybe, so there is a group called Indians in Toronto. ये
Mhm,
यहाँ पे Facebook पे है. So
mhm.
Facebook people use a lot because of groups यहाँ पे. And I see post of people who are moving back because of the opportunity now क्योंकि
Yeah,
एक तो cost of living बहुत बढ़ गया है, दूसरा इंडिया में opportunities भी ज्यादा
yes. I think we should ask the people who have come back to India from Amazon, right? So US से जो अभी layoffs हुए थे Amazon में, तो people have
Yeah.
moved back to India, and I know a couple of them. They've got decent jobs in India. मतलब आपको वो भी तो देखना पड़ेगा ना कि आपका पैरिटी परचेस पावर कितना है इंडिया में और यूएस में. दैट इज इक्विवेलेंट, इट इज
यूएस में कितना
इक्विवेलेंट.
है?
सो
Yeah. People are actually surprised. So when they come to India for the first time, I've known people who have gone back to India after 6, 7 years, and the first thing is they see UPI and everything is so things have changed in 6, 7 years. It's not that it has not changed.
मतलब इंडिया इज टीचिंग वर्ल्ड हाउ टू डू money transfer, right? UPI means
Money transfer.
so I mean
Yeah.
it's one of a kind. I mean the kind of fintech revolution India has seen, nobody else, no country in the globe has seen, I think.
Yeah, it takes me 2 to 3 days to do a wire transfer to a different bank account here in Canada. And I have to pay
Yeah,
money
so
for it as well.
if at all you people can convince Canada government, right? I heard France may they have started accepting UPI. So I was
Okay,
reading this
yeah.
somewhere that now you can, if you want to visit Eiffel Tower, you can use UPI. Not sure.
Yeah, I can do UPI, but only if I have an NRO account and I have to do it to India, something like that. So
Okay.
I
Not
guess
very
it's
clear
very
on this.
difficult to do the. I guess in India, the fintech sector has been regulated well and loosely at the same time.
Yes, and
So
I
you can do
think
your innovation.
Sachin, not only fintech now with ONDC coming in, how that will change the entire game, we don't know. We are yet to see that.
What is ONDC for our viewers, like who are going to listen to this?
It's just an open network for digital commerce, right? I mean, the way
Okay.
UPI is for financial transaction, wherein you have got a democratic platform for people to send money, right? Similarly, for selling your items, you have this democratic platform by government of India, right? Not sure if it is entirely government. It's an initiative of government of India, I believe, right? So it's just a platform which will democratize this space. Uh, Likes of Amazons and Flipkarts of the world, they will not have all the undue advantage of quote unquote exploiting the sellers, right? So you can list
Yeah, or
yourself
maybe
and
like a more autonomous platform which is not regulated by a single tech giant, so to say.
absolutely, yeah,
So a
right.
question on that front. You have in India, you have Amazon, Flipkart, and maybe I think Meesho and all are coming up. But legacy groups have not been able to crack it. I don't want to name a particular group, but you can see a lot of legacy groups of India try to get into e-commerce, but they are not successful there, not much successful. What is the reason for that?
See, I will not say that there are people who are not succeeded. Reliance has done pretty good in the space. Tata, they have started their own app, and I worked with that. You know this, right?
You
So
worked with Tata.
I work with that for Tata New, right? So specifically, I mean, if why they are not able to crack this, I would say probably they're trying to do everything in one shot. I don't know, but again, a guess. And second, you really need to come out of your mindset of service. If you want to build a product, you need to first understand what value you are delivering, and then from there you need to come down and then execute things. You cannot be executing things thinking that okay, one day I'll deliver value, right? So what Amazon is doing or what Flipkart is doing, what they are doing today, uh, is a journey where they have reached. Why Amazon would have started pharmacy and then maybe shut the food business in India, there must be so many reasons to it, where they are here because of so many things that they have done in past. One day you cannot come and say that I want to launch this all 10 things together, ho gaya ye mera. Probably that's very personal opinion, right? So objectively, two things: you need to come out of your service mindset. Product is not service. Product is not delivery. Product is delivering value and not delivering working softwares for that matter, right? And
Product is not just making an application. Product is
yes,
like convincing your users to use it.
correct. So And then adoption is a very big thing. I mean, if people are not adopting it, just change things. Yeah, you need to come back to your drawing board, understand, have that feedback loop for yourself to see what's wrong, what's not working for. Yeah, I mean, nothing
Okay.
very specific, but yeah, these two reasons I would specify.
I thought Flipkart was a I mean, they were a revolutionary company because they became app only when, probably because of pre-Geo world. But I think you have to think on those lines. Like Flipkart का PW है अभी भी, like their app is really good that way, isn't it?
Again, app only. Sachin was not a one day thing, right? They acquired a company called
Yeah,
Jabong, I believe, Jabong Mintra, and they made Mintra app
yeah,
only, which they reverted
yeah,
back and said that no, we'll also come back on the desktop, right? And if I remember the reason correctly, somewhere if I was reading it, I believe people from their office they do Mintra and they cannot use their phones. They want to use their desktop. I don't know, but whatever, they had their
yeah.
feedback loop. So even for Flipkart, moving to app only was not a one day decision. I'm sure.
But it was a bold decision. I think you have to take those bold decisions. I mean, it did not work well at that time. Maybe it is working now because people don't use desktop a lot. They use
Yeah,
mobile now.
yeah,
But it was very revolutionary in
absolutely,
those
absolutely.
times.
So take bold decision and be open for it. Be open for the feedback
Yeah.
that you get.
Okay.
Yeah.
Moving on to I wanted to do this podcast because a lot of people don't have clarity when they're doing their MBA or when they're in the initial phase of their MBA or the career. If somebody wants to get into product management, what is your advice to them? How should they do it? And
My,
tech product management. I'm not saying like the
I
other
hear you.
product management, but tech
Mhm.
product management.
The very first thing would be that ask yourself, why do you want to do this? And if you get that answer, probably everything else will be answered. And I'll tell you, when I interview candidates for my team, I ask this question, why are you, even interviewing with me? Right? And I try connecting their dots of their journey, right from their school days, and then I try to understand at what point they toppled saying कि product management करना है, right? And I wrote this article on LinkedIn like a few months back, wherein I spoke about these so many training institutes around the country on product management, क्योंकि ग्लैमर है, लोगों को लगता है ग्लैमर है, product management is a very fancy profile. Probably I don't know why people think so, if people think so.
Money. I'll say because of money. क्योंकि अभी एक ad आया था Netflix का. Somehow people blew it out of proportion, but they were offering 700 or 800K for a product manager job in Silicon Valley. And Indian newspapers are saying that 10 करोड़ की या 9 करोड़ की नौकरी है प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट के लिए.
Probably मतलब एक तो money driven decisions cannot be always true.
हाँ.
सही नहीं होना, I don't know how right is that. Second, data science भी तो है, right? Data science is also a very highly paid job for that matter. But people think that might be difficult to do. Product management easy है, आपको कुछ करना नहीं है. This is what people think. I mean, this is what
People,
I hear a lot from people. I often get, LinkedIn messages, hey, I want to break into product management. And I'm clueless, why? You are doing good in a software. You are doing good what you're doing, right? You are good in sales. You are doing QA. You are doing so many other things. Why do you want to get into product management? Right? And if at all you want to get into product management, fair enough. There was a point in my life when I wanted to get into product management, but you need to have that strong reason, right? And I often think, is product management a science or an art, right? I mean, this is again a reflection in
and what
myself.
is it?
I don't
What
know.
is it?
I don't know.
You don't
Sometimes,
know.
sometimes I really feel it is an art, right? You need to learn as you grow, right? Probably I
So
don't know.
there's no
There
one
are
formula.
I'm a big I'm someone who is against frameworks a lot, right? So even in MBA, I don't know if I had this discussion with you. I When I was doing case studies and all things like that. So that time, so many teams that they came up with so many frameworks, and I was like, framework क्या होता है? I mean, framework, somebody has generalized something and then created that framework. Why can't we create our contextual framework with every case? And that was my approach,
Yeah.
and I think I did a few good jobs there. कुछ case studies में I got selected, I national runner up, etc., whatever, right? So इसलिए मुझे लगता है कि putting a science to it, I don't know if that is true. Again, I'm struggling with this question. I'll probably answer you back if
Yeah,
I get.
yeah. We'll do a follow up once you find that answer. But so if someone is driven, someone is say they really want to do it, then what is your opinion? What is your opinion, or what is your advice to them?
Don't go for trainings, right?
Don't go for trainings.
I
They're charging, I think,
Again,
2.5, 3 lakh for
uh,
a 2 month course, right?
this is a very
In
personal
trainings.
opinion, right? I don't like, you cannot train yourself. It is like, it is not a quota factory, right? Go there, go crack for IIT, वहां जाते हैं. You really need to understand what it takes, right? Product management is problem solving and stakeholder management, right? You need to be someone who understands psychology of your stakeholders, of your users, right? ट्रेनिंग मुझे नहीं पता कैसे हो सकती है इस चीज की. आई नेवर gone under any training for this, right? You need to understand psychology of your users, your stakeholders, people you're talking with. You need to, have very good people skills. That is one part of it. And second part of it is how good problem solver you are. And if you're a good problem solver, you are a good problem solver in every aspect of your life. डे टू डे लाइफ में जो प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है वो भी अच्छे से सॉल्व करोगे. यू विल ब्रेक थिंग्स डाउन. यू विल सी what impacts more. You will see where I can, put a full stop to what I'm doing, right? So breaking things down, solving problems, and then putting things together to see value and get that impact, right? So these are the things which you need to say learn. So, and if you think you have all of these qualities, you are a great product manager. Go for the role, and I'm sure every interview you go for, you will crack it. You don't really need to, go for some fancy training, some fancy, mentor who could train you कि, this is how retention works, this is how acquisition works. ये सब तो सीख जाओगे
So
यार.
I had a great time speaking with you, Shobhit, on these things. And one of the most important thing is, if you listen to this, you'll save your 2.5 lakh on a training course at a product school. Please don't do that.
There's a disclaimer to it. It's my very personal opinion.
It's a, yeah, every opinion is personal at the end.
Yeah.
But I guess it was great speaking with you on all of these terms. And congratulations again on becoming the CPO. In just 5 years, you are a chief product officer.
Thank you so much, Sachin. It was indeed a pleasure speaking to you. I did not realize we spoke for 1 hour.